I'm Emma, and if you see me drawing in my notepad, it's not that I'm not paying attention, it's just that I need something to do with my hands. So I promise I am listening. Anyway, so I like video games. That's why I first talked to Steve, and thanks to him, I'm now here speaking to all of you guys. So I hope you enjoy my presentation. I also love web analytics, and I know that not everybody loves web analytics, right? You know, it's a lot of graphs, and most people just want to do their job and get on with it. Because there's a lot of reporting, nobody wants to spend all their time doing reports and in web analytics all day. And if there's less time reporting, you can spend more time doing your job. And if you do your job more, there's more value to your business. If you spend more time learning, it's more value to yourself. So if you're doing less web analytics, that's probably better for you. So before I even get on to the point of how to do less and report less, what does anything in that you're talking about and reporting on, what does it mean? So imagine your website's a country. There's a lot of websites on the internet, and Google Analytics is like the guy that checks the passports. He looks at your passport and says things like, where have they come from? So what other websites have people come from? So if you look in your Google Analytics, you might see something called source. That's just what other website they've come from. Medium, that's how they got there. So if you're traveling across the world, you can fly, you can drive, you can take a train. I took 3 trains today to get here. And so if I was coming to Cardiff, my source would be leads, my medium would be train. Google Analytics, you might come from a paid campaign, you might come organically. And if you want to review the campaign, that's just some more like additional information about how they got there, or anything else, like are the vaccinations up to date, so, and things like that. So we've checked the passports now. So this is an SEO meet, so let's talk about organic, right? But before we talk about organic, we have to understand what on earth, how does Google understand, or how does Google Analytics understand traffic at all? There's so many different types of traffic. What does it mean? What does organic even mean? Before we get, so the first thing that Google Analytics looks at is if the link that's clicked to get to your website has UTM tagging. It just reads that and says it's this from this campaign. If there's no UTM tagging and they came from a search engine, it's organic. If they came from another website, it's a referral. And if it doesn't follow any of those criteria, Google Analytics marks it as direct. So what does tagged with UTM parameters mean? If you're doing any kind of paid advertising or email advertising or something where someone is coming to your website by something you're actively doing, you need to tag your links up with UTM tracking and to tell Google Analytics it's come from a paid advertising campaign or it's come from email. Otherwise, it will just come in as a referral or organic traffic. Easy. You just open up this campaign URL builder and stick in source medium campaign, like what we talked about. It goes in your passport, and Google Analytics then understands how the heck someone got to your website. You get a lovely long URL like this, but it makes sense to Google Analytics whenever it's loaded. And there's a link there to if you want access to that. So we are still talking about organic, right? We're going to talk about that, huh? So there's no UTM tagging. They've come from a search engine. That means they've come organically. So what does Google Analytics consider to be a search engine? Google Analytics there's a big long list of a lot of search engines. Basically, if somebody came to your website from any of these websites, they consider it a search engine. They've come organically, unless they've tagged it up as a paid advertising campaign. So, and then if they've come from another website that's not on that list, it counts as a referrer, basically. And if we don't know anything about any of that, they've come directly. So now you sort of understand how Google Analytics measures organic traffic, and you're running some kind of campaign and you want to know, how on earth should I measure it? What should I measure? I get asked this on a regular basis, and I ask you right back, what's the purpose of your business? What's the purpose of your campaign? You need to know this. You can't just measure things for the sake of it. What's the point? So I'd recommend creating a measurement plan. I'm not going to talk about what a measurement plan is or how to create one, but it's a list of basically objectives, what adds value to your campaign, what's proving you're doing well. Within your measurement plan, you can identify what information can I get from Google Analytics. So if traffic, that's from Google Analytics. And if you have some like leads you want to measure, you can set that up in Google Analytics as a goal. There's other things you can get, like say you want to measure links. Google Analytics probably isn't the best place to measure the value of links. It's not a be-all and end-all. Suddenly I can measure absolutely everything. I'd recommend something like Ahrefs or Search Console if you want to measure links built and links coming into your site. Similarly, if you want to measure like social performance, like the number of tweets you're getting and then the interactions with those tweets, use the relevant analytics for your social media platform. There's loads of like really good paid ones as well. I'd recommend checking them out. But there's some information you can get from Google Analytics regarding like links and social media. If you see at the bottom of these slides, and by the way, I will be sending them around afterwards, so keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye on the Cardiff SEO Meet Twitter, because I'm going to send it to Steve and I'm going to assume he's going to tweet about it. At the bottom of each of these slides, if you see something like acquisition, all traffic referrals, that's me telling you what report in your Google Analytics you can find any of this interesting data, and it's the left-hand side. You click the drop downs in that order and you'll find yourself at a relevant report. So in this one, go to your referrals report and you can find out information about who's linked to you. So say you've got a link on search engine land, you can search for it in that little box there and you can pull back all the sessions and all the conversions related to those links. So if that's one way to find out whether the links are actually driving you traffic, which is what you want. I mean, yeah, it's great that it's a ranking signal, but links that send you traffic are probably more valuable than links that don't. And if you're interested in the actual like conversion value, you can go into the assisted conversions report. I recommend using assisted conversions for things like links and social media, because quite often if you're tweeting about your amazing product or a blog post, people will go from your tweet to your blog post and think, that's really nice, and probably not buy something because they're not in the mindset for that, and that's okay. But maybe a week later they think, oh, I really need this product, and they think about your website and maybe they Google it, and then they come to your website and then they buy the thing. So in that case, the conversion, the revenue is all attributed to the search engine because they came to the search engine and then bought something. But earlier on in the journey, they did interact with you from referring links or from social media, and this is why the assisted conversions report is useful, because that's where you can find out that information. Because yeah, people might not go from your YouTube ad and buy something immediately, but maybe if they do eventually, it's worth reporting on. Something else I kind of see a lot of in reporting is people want to understand, what's my brand awareness? Is that going up? And again, Google Analytics is okay for this, but I'd recommend probably looking at search, like Google Trends, put in your brand name, Google Search Console, are your brand keywords going up, for example, using AdWords to measure search volume of your brand name. It's an okay way of getting information about brand awareness. You can use Google Analytics if you want, like looking at your direct traffic report, for example, you can see, oh, direct traffic is going up. People are probably becoming more aware of my brand. Okay, so now you've created your measurement plan and you have some idea of what you want to tell your client or your boss or whoever you're showing information to, you might as well make it accurate, because if you're not reporting on something accurate, you're reporting on absolute rubbish. So I'm just going to go through a few ways that you can fiddle with your Google Analytics data to make it accurate for reporting's sake. So if you have people in your office or people at your agency using your website, they're not using a website like a customer uses it, so any of their sessions, they're not really important, because they're probably just like resizing the page to see if this works, or going to copy and paste a phone number to send to someone to say call me at the office because they've forgotten it. Not that I do that at all. But so just get rid of those visitors. Just exclude the IP in the admin section, create a filter. You don't care. You want to know what your customers are doing, not people that sat next to you. So I mentioned earlier, Google Analytics has this list of search engines that says, yeah, if they came from this site, it counts as an organic visit. It's not a complete list. It's just a list. It doesn't have some really popular search engines like DuckDuckGo is rising in popularity. Dogpile's not really popular anymore, but I remember it used to be popular. And then if you have those like malware toolbars that assign you to some random search engine, that counts as an organic visit if they used it, even if it's malware. So what happens? What happens there? They're not on Google's list. They come in the referrer report. So if you go to your referrer report and filter it for anything including like search or any known search engines, you'll find a massive list of people who've come organically to your site because they use a search engine. But Google Analytics is like, I don't see that as a search engine. So they put it in the referrer report. And it means that your organic campaign is less accurately reported on, because I know, yeah, we're optimizing for Google here, but I'm sure if you are optimizing for Google, DuckDuckGo and Dogpile are probably like sending you more traffic as well, right? It's just more accurate. So ensure your organic traffic is counted as organic. This can be done by using the custom search engine setting in the admin area, and DuckDuckGo likes to be special and it doesn't work for that, so you have to create a filter that says if traffic came from DuckDuckGo, it's not a referrer, it's organic. And that's an advanced filter that says, it's just a set of rules that say if this has come from here, drop it into this report. And then you get more accurate data and you're reporting on your campaign more accurately in your actions. So this is less prevalent than it used to be, but if you ever see a lot of like garbage traffic like this, that's just like myfreebuttons.com and all this stuff, it pollutes your reports and it's not real traffic, it's just some spammer trying to get you to go to his website, or their website I should say, sorry. You can deal with that in two ways. There's a bot filtering button in the admin section that says exclude like bots and spiders. Most of the spam traffic isn't actually a bot or a spider, it's something else. But something you can do to get rid of it is a filter that says only include traffic that is going to my website. I know that seems like really obvious, but whenever they send you this traffic, they're executing your Google Analytics code like on some random website that's not your website. So to get realistic data, just include traffic to my website. I don't need all that spam. Something I've seen come up quite a lot is if someone uses like PayPal or WorldPay or something, and they go to their top converting sources report, they see that PayPal or WorldPay is like right at the top being like, yeah, I referred you all this traffic and you're getting loads of conversions. Well, that's not really very helpful, because that's just part of the user journey. They go to your website and they go to PayPal and they check out. But because Google Analytics doesn't understand by default that PayPal is sort of a part of your user journey, it treats it separately and says, hey, they're sending you lots of conversions. And that means if someone's come from like organic and then they've gone to PayPal, Google doesn't see the conversion attributed to organic. And that's really annoying, because it's not showing the value of your work. So what do we do about this? In the admin section, underneath referral exclusion list, add in any payment providers that you use, and that sends a signal to Google Analytics to say, look, if they came from PayPal, just ignore that. Just look at what they came from before and tell me that they converted from that website. And I'd also recommend putting in your own website, because sometimes people have a subdomain that's like on booking.mysite.com, and you see a lot of referrals coming from booking.mysite.com, and that's not really helpful. So again, it's all part of if it's part of your user journey and not like they specifically arrived from this website to buy something, stick it in this list and your data becomes more accurate and your conversions get attributed to your actual campaign instead of PayPal. So this is what Steve promised. How do I spend more time doing SEO? I said this right at the start. Less time doing analytics is more time doing your actual job. And as much as analytics is my job, it's probably not all your jobs. So if you want to look at something quite frequently that's a bit specific, like I want to see organic traffic that's come from Wales, because I don't care about anyone outside of Wales, because I don't do business with anyone outside of Wales. Not that I'm generalizing or anything, but you can create a segment that does this for you instead of always having to go to the country report and narrow it down to United Kingdom and then Wales. You can just create this, check it at the top, and then every single report you look at will have this applied to it. So that's useful if there's some kind of analysis you do on a regular basis, and it's something like niche like that. If there's a regular report that you do, like a monthly report where you always pull out the same stats, like you always pull out sessions and conversions and conversion rate from like the top sources like organic and paid, and you literally are pulling the same numbers every month, instead of going into the acquisition, all traffic, source medium report, and then drilling down into the goal that you're interested in and clicking 5 million times, you should create a custom report, and that can be done in that left-hand bar. There's a section called customization, and all you do is select what you want to see. That link at the bottom is a link to a blog post that I wrote a while back about how to do this exact sort of thing. As well as that, if you're not necessarily reporting, but you like to get an overview of how the website is visited and utilized day to day, and maybe you just want to take a screen grab for a PowerPoint, I'd maybe recommend creating a dashboard. And it's not as involved as custom reporting. Custom reporting gives you a lot of numbers, but this can give you a lot of graphs. For example, you can create dashboards using Google Analytics. You can also create dashboards using Google Data Studio. Google Data Studio is not part of Google Analytics, but it's part of their software suite. And you can connect it to Google Analytics and Google Search Console and Google AdWords and basically anything that has an API, and say, hey, make me lots of nice graphs in one place, and then I can just take that screenshot and drop it in the PowerPoint, and it's good, and I auto updates, and I don't have to click like 500 times to get this, because once it's set up, it's set up. There's a lot of legwork at the start, but it pays off in the end, because by the time you get to the first of the month, you're not spending hours and hours pulling all of this data together, because Google's done it for you. If you report in Excel or via Google Sheets, you can use things like Supermetrics and Analytics Edge, which use the Google Analytics API to pull the data into the spreadsheet for you. So you don't even have to open Google Analytics. You can just create a macro. I say just create a macro, like Excel skills are easily acquired. But if you're willing to learn Excel skills, or if you already have that ability, you can make it do it in one click via this integration. So Now we've got the reporting side out of the way, because reporting is really boring. You can use Google Analytics to actually help you do some SEO. I'm going to give a few examples here, like how do I diagnose like problems with my website, for example? What do I do? So you can monitor your 404 pages. So say you have a 404 page, and I always just go to my website and then type in just some garbage after the / and see what happens, because I don't know if there's a more orthodox way of generating a 404. And typically 404 pages, they usually have the same title, page title, or a very similar page title that would be like page not found dash blah blah blah, and then so you can search for all pages with page title and whatever matches what your 404 page is, and then you can monitor it over time and see why is it so high at the minute, or what page do they keep going to that is 404ing? What do I need to change a link, or do I need to just fix that page, redirect it? What is it? And it allows you to fix it. If you're doing site speed improvements, you can look at page timings in Google Analytics. There's a lot of different page timing metrics you can get. Average page load time is like the time it takes to load the entire page, but there's metrics like average content. I believe it's called average content loaded time, which is like from when the user can start loading, like using the page. And you can see what are my high traffic pages that have also got a really high page load time. What do I need to improve? And it can be really useful, because a lot of the tools I've ever seen for looking at page load time, you have to put in one URL at a time, and it can get really tedious, especially if you're on a free trial and you might have to wait for each page. So you can just get a list of your pages, say, these ones are rubbish, these are the ones that need prioritizing. Oops. And something that I find quite useful is, say organic traffic has gone down or gone up, you might want to know what part of the site is it affecting the most. And this is a really underutilized report, but you can go into site content and you can go into content drill down, and you can see by each folder what are the traffic levels, and you can look at that on the graph, and did it affect only this folder? What do I need to look at, for example? Okay. If you're interested in what do users actually do on my website, so SEO, yeah, it's about getting the best for your user, and so this touches in like CRO and UX a little bit, but you can select any page you're interested in optimizing, and you can click navigation summary, which is right at the top and really easy to miss. And you can see these are the pages they were on before this page, these are the pages they were on after this page, and if all your users are going to a page that you didn't expect them to go to, then you need to think about doing something with regards to optimizing that page for users to get them going to the page you want them to go to, and not that random page. You get more money that way usually, so I'd recommend it. And if you're interested in looking at a specific funnel for a goal, like say you've got a checkout, there's the funnel visualization. You have to tell Google Analytics what you want to track. You have to specify, this is my basket, this is my checkout, and this is my thank you page. But you get a really nice visual of what step they're dropping out on, and then you can see what needs improving. Maybe you get asked questions like this, or maybe you think about this kind of thing a lot, like, why the heck is my traffic down? Or what happened there? I would say look into specific channels, for example. You want to eliminate, like, is it down for the whole site, or is it just down for some people? look at the page, look at the subfolder, what device are they using? Is it only mobile users that this is affecting? Is it a lot of random people have come from a city that I've never seen before? Is it the site's broken on this browser? Is it only returning visitors for some reason? And if you can narrow it down, you have an idea of where to look. If you can't narrow it down, I'd say check your tracking code and check what recent site updates you've made, because you never know. Tracking codes break. It happens. Don't worry about it. You can fix it. And so now you're getting a bit of, you're understanding how to fix your problems. And the other, I wouldn't, we got to talk about links. Basically, that's what I'm saying. That's why I've put pictures of Link from The Legend of Zelda throughout this whole presentation. That's why I'm wearing my Link T-shirt today, because we're talking about links. It's SEO. Going back to the referrals report, is this the best place to find whether your links are doing anything for you? I sort of mentioned it before, but you can sort by goal value, and that tells you these are the websites that actually send you money, not just traffic, actual real money. And this can be either tied back to links you've built to help report on it, or it can give you ideas as to what kind of sites you need to outreach to if you're looking at that more value-driven approach. And so I think Reddit is really underutilized as a social media platform. If you're interested in this mystical website that sends you lots of traffic, but you don't know where to start, go to your referrals report, click on reddit.com, you get a list of all the actual pages on Reddit that sent you traffic. And that first part of the URL, the r/, it's called the subreddit, and that is basically the category where people are talking about you, and you can get an idea as to where to submit content to, is r/SEO good for me, or should I submit things to r/programming? And these are who's sending you legitimate traffic already, so why not just push your content where it's popular? Get yourself even more popular, right? Finally, with regards to link building or any kind of audience building, what the heck are your audience interested in? I come from an agency background, and it's quite often I'll be dropped on a client that I've never heard of before. I don't really know their niche as such, and so one of the first things I would do is look at this audiences report, look at the interests. What are these people interested in? Because yeah, they are interested in your product, but they have lives. Don't all revolve around buying a pair of shoes. Well, I mean, maybe, but this is a good way to build a seeding list for if you're outreaching to certain kinds of blogs, getting ideas for your next asset. It's to get the ball rolling. It's not massive and in depth, but it's a good starting point. And thank you very much for listening, and I'm open to any questions.
Cool. Thank you very much, Emma. I realised I got the second microphone for the site review, but it's also going to come in handy for Q&A, but we've probably only got time for probably one question, maybe two. So did anyone have a question for Emma? Anyone at all? Oh, Phil?
Hi, Emma. Great point about with PayPal being excluded, because that could really hurt organic performance reporting. What happens if your site has a single sign-on with Facebook, and let's say it doesn't use an iframe or anything, and the user signs in or registers via Facebook? Could that also have an impact on organic attribution, and is there a way to solve it?
Hello. Good question. So you're talking about whenever someone comes to a website and they're asked to create an account, and there's that button that's like sign in with Facebook, and it logs them in. I hate to say this. It depends, because it depends how it's set up. Because if there's not, even if there is an iframe involved, as long as they're on your website, as long as say that the first page is /sign in, and then they click the button, and then it does the thing, and then they land on the next page, which is /account. As long as that second page has loaded without actually going to the Facebook website, you should be fine. Even if an iframe does pop up, so the way Google Analytics works is page views and hits are sent whenever a page loads, and it understands that the traffic came from where it originated. If however, the user is sent, so they click the Facebook button, so they're on /sign in, they click the Facebook button, and then within that same screen, they're taken to Facebook, and then they sign into Facebook, and then it loads /account because I've now signed in. That's when Google Analytics might get confused. And for this, I'd be really unwilling to put in a referral exclusion because people do legitimately come from Facebook, and you don't want to get rid of all of those people. I think there's solutions specifically that exist. I'm not sure of them off the top of my head because I've never encountered it as a problem. And if I'm honest, if I did encounter it as a problem, I'd Google it. I've seen similar things happen when people go to like an affiliate site to link up one site to another, but we have been able to do the referral exclusion web because they never sent each other traffic. It's just one way. So I think there's probably a developer side solution to that. Probably depending on I hate saying it depends, but depending on your setup, it's either adding some code onto your site, onto that account page, or using Google Tag Manager to do it.
So do you think maybe it's possible to do a custom script additionally it's going to go in JavaScript and then it doesn't block Facebook?
I would say so because I assume whenever you sign in via Facebook, it comes from a specific URL string, and if there's a way for the JavaScript to identify the full referrer, which Google Analytics can do, and it can identify, oh, they've come from this sign-in with Facebook page, just exclude that and link it together, because the admin way I was showing it's a blanket sort of ignore everything from Facebook.com, which not something that we want in this. So I think a custom script is probably the best for that.